Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 145 of Peace Talk. This is your boy, the Peace Dealer, and today I have my special guest, a fellow Gemini, actually, and Mr. Starseed Salsa himself. What's poppin', Mario? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. I'm very appreciative to have this time and chat with you right now. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I heard it's your birthday today as well.
Yes, it is. Turned 31. That 1990 gang right there.
What do you feel about being a May Gemini versus a June Gemini
Um,
in the first decade?
in the first decade, you've taught me a lot actually in understanding May Geminis and June Geminis, and for me personally, I just feel more youthful, more young in the Gemini expression. Having to progress much later, around this age into Cancer.
You know what? Congratulations. You probably just started your Cancer progression, right?
About a year ago, I think.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, sun progressed into Cancer and the moon has progressed into Leo.
So did you have the new moon at the end of Gemini or at the beginning of Cancer?
My birthday? You mean when I was born?
No, good question. So because you said something very important. 1 degree Cancer, right? With the progressed moon in Leo means that you recently, maybe like 2 years ago, had the progressed new moon transit. So it looks like it was at 29 degrees Gemini or 0 degrees Cancer, which is profound. It's pretty dope.
That is profound. That's so profound. Yes.
You either had, when I had my new moon in Cancer was 9/11 and my new moon progressed Cancer transit. Yeah, it was like 17 years ago, around 2001 ish, maybe even before that. It was like 2001. But then I had my full moon. But it's dope because for you to be just starting the Cancer progression with the moon in Leo, that's a whole new adventure. It's a whole new cycle. In my opinion, when I learned about progressions, to me, I feel like when a zodiac sign progresses through the next sign, it wants to get to the third sign. So in my opinion, it's like Leo, like Gemini wants to make it to Leo, where it can like be bold and express itself, but it has to swim through the fields in Cancer, and it's like, what the fuck? And it is what it is. I cannot wait to finish this. I have 10 more years of it. It's helped me become so much more psychic, and I've come to basically the Cancer progression basically had me look at all cancers like, how the fuck do y'all even do this? Like, what is y'all secret? Like, how do y'all even? But then definitely just makes me excited to step into Leo, and I started to look at like Kanye West and President Trump and how, okay, the progressed Leo probably helps them. They're probably way past that, but it's like you can see the boldness in older Geminis who finished the Cancer, and like they have a lot more. So I just can't wait. It's gonna be so fun. But yeah.
Yeah, and we have a South Node in Leo. So when that time comes for us, I feel this even greater epicness that's like coming into more integration of what our soul life path journey has been from birth all the way up until now, when that progression hits that point.
So shout out to you. You're also Goat Squad. You're born in 89 or 90?
90.
Oh shit, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So you were literally born like just a couple weeks before me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love your chart, by the way. It's fucking awesome.
Thanks. I know right now Uranus is on my Mercury, Pluto is on my Saturn is on my North Node, and the moon right now is on my Pluto, and Neptune is on my Mars. And so there's just like a lot of, perfect accuracy just, for my personal journey here. And it's amazing because I first got into astrology back when I was 17, so like 14 years ago. And I dove into it hard for the first few years, and then once I got a solid gripping of the basics and can see it interface in my reality, especially really understanding the moon cycles, I kind of stopped studying as I was before, and just more so was just studying on my own through my experience with my reality. And shit, I forgot where I was going with that Gemini moment there.
Gemini moment, right? Yeah. No, but it's cool to borrow on what you're saying. Like, now I almost forgot what I just said. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. But to remember it real quick, that's crazy. I feel like I just got my side. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask you more so about, like, there we go, with Saturn transiting the North Node, like, especially those born in 1990, it's like we're stepping onto our mission for the first time ever. How does that feel? I know you felt that for sure.
It's been a mind fuck, a massive mind fuck. And, you know, right now I've been really taking it easy, taking care of myself, because I reached this point of really seeing a bigger understanding and picture of what we're interfacing with being born here right now as you know, soldiers, light warriors, whatever, star seeds, whatever. It's being able to understand and make sense and have the why, the reason for experiencing everything I've experienced up until now, and how literally being born here and living this life is this era's mystical training school on becoming awakened, on ascending, on becoming sovereign. So everything I've experienced in my life, all the whole fucking story was all just training for me to have to see, you know, through patterns and cycles and dreams and synchronicities, and increasing the dialogue, the inner dialogue channel. And, you know, as time progressed, it's just what all the things that I first intuit about my life and perception of it, as things progressed, it just became more and more solidified, because in retrospect, time and the patterns and everything has proven that what I'm intuiting and thinking and perceiving is accurate, true, and real. And that has been a mind fuck, because it's like, oh shit.
Right. We went through that doubting process, right? Because especially Gemini doesn't hold the punches, so it's not going to sugarcoat. It's just going to be like this, and that, and it's like there's no way. And then it's like, oh wait, oh wow. So what's your sun, moon, and rising for those who are curious?
Sun Gemini, Moon Gemini, rising Scorpio, with Pluto right there on the ascendant in the first house.
Oh, so you're a Pluto instrument alien. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's been
in
weird.
The 8th house too. Damn,
in the 8th house.
So that means everyone watching this right now, congratulations. New moon individuals are literally omens of new beginnings. The fact that you're looking at Mario right now means that you're getting ready to step into a portal of new truth with the North Node that's also harnessing his energy, and it's probably going to transform your whole mind. So just a bit of a disclaimer, because energy like his is very dangerous, and it's dangerous in a sense where, like, your whole world can change just with a thought. And you know, I feel like the Scorpio element makes it so subtle. You may not even notice. So I'm giving you the disclaimer now. Like, even me watching, like, I'm gonna brace for whatever new. And personally, the way this kind of and studying omens, because every single individual is an omen. I'm an omen, you're an omen, and so you being born on a new moon, you're an omen for a new truth. And it's crazy because I just today am starting. I'm finally going to be able to get BNB transferred to my account. So I'm finally going to be able to create my angel coin or the cryptocurrency. And I've also started my tolerance break. So, like, I'm on a new cycle. So I think that's cool that I'm mirroring that with you, and it's reflected, and that's awesome. So thanks in advance, because once again, what's it like having the Gemini energy, but incorporating it with Scorpio in the 8th?
It's not for the faint of heart. It's very restless and deep inner turmoil. But it's not so bad because of the Gemini aspect, being able to process really fast through one channel of thinking and perceiving, through the next channel perceiving and thinking, until you're finding the truth, and then having to transform and shed all of what I've perceived, absorbed, and experienced up until that point. So Mercury cycles are very big in everything. But it's very restless. But I've come to a very big moment in these last few months, in these last 6 months since the last eclipse cycle, of really getting it, of really getting what energy I'm an instrument of and have been working with unconsciously. 11 minutes and 11 seconds just passed there as soon as I said unconscious, of what I've been working with unconsciously, and now being able to be conscious of it in an introductory level, such as, hey, this is the intelligence energy that has been working with you, that has been communing with you, and now we are ready to integrate with you, so you no longer have to facilitate and wander with this energy unconsciously, because up until this point there have been moments of stepping into portals and game scenarios that weren't the best, that weren't the most pleasant.
Right.
But each game, each scenario was a tremendous experience of learning that all led me to this point. So it's huge. It's really huge, and I want to take the opportunity to share with viewers, because I know there are hundreds, thousands, of us having our journey and experiences, and it could be very confusing, and hard and dense at times. And what has helped me, being a soldier, being a warrior here for truth and liberation of the consciousness, what has helped me is really using plant medicines such as mushrooms, hape, smoking marijuana, CBD,
Happy. That is no joke.
essential oils, that's really taking care of yourself, but tapping into that plant medicine to help you, create those psychic neurons.
Plant
Connected.
medicine definitely matured my view on psychedelics, and like I want to actually detox. Like every time I've done ayahuasca, I didn't do the dieta right. Like I never really fasted like I should. So I want to really return to it with my body, mind, and spirit purged, and to really respect that process. And actually, I was going to ask you next about your Bufo experience.
Yes, that's what I was leading up to. The Bufo experience changed everything. Um, I participated in 2 ceremonies. The first ceremony instantly made me aware of a demon I've been harboring, and where that demon is in my body, and where that demon came from. So it brought me to really see it for what it is, and to get rid of it. It's fucking clenching hard. And the demon is a distortion somewhere in space time of my experiences, in this life. And it just it's been there in the conscious and the unshadow. So the first ceremony brought me very aware of it, to the point where I can like almost converse with it, like a chinchuriki. And so I had that experience, and then from there, when you take plant medicines, you tap into the frequency of the intelligence of what that medicine is, and it brought my awareness to another plane that exists here with us. And
Oh,
that
it was 2 Bufo ceremonies.
2 Bufo ceremonies. This is still the first ceremony. Long story short, greeted by my ancestors and soul galactic family, being in this other space, other frequency, where you meet them, and they're basically, doing a limpia on you. They're cleaning your spirit, your energy, and everything that you've experienced. Because when you take that medicine, that 5-MeO DMT trip, you can remember almost everything, just about everything you've experienced in your life. Because when you're a child, your brain is so open, so every experience, everything gets so imprinted in the brain. And I've had a very traumatic story up until this point, so it like stretched it out and got me to see where all my shadows and falsities and distortions are still here in my body and in my mind and in my behaviors, and that it's okay. It's that it's okay because you are a soldier, you are a warrior here, and you chose to be born here. And this is a wounding. These are woundings that you've experienced being a soldier here.
Shout out to you, J-Lo. Appreciate
and
you.
we're here to help you remember who you are, warrior, because we are all warriors here. Being born here right now, whoever you are, whichever, if you're homeless or rich or whatever, it's a big fucking thing to just experience what's happening on this planet, whether you're conscious of it or unconscious of it.
Right. And Sananga, just to speak on Sananga, is crazy for the eyes too. That's been interesting. And I hate to interrupt you, but for those who are unaware, what is Bufo? For example, I've taken combo, and that, to be honest, has been the most intense trip. It's been even more intense to me than DMT. The frog poison, like I've had it on my back, and it's just like intense purging and throwing up for like 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's heavy, and then it's like there. So it's Bufo. I heard Bufo was kind of like combo, but you mentioned 5-3 MD Theo DMT. So is that what it's included in? I heard that DMT is like a whole nother level of DMT too.
It's the strongest DMT that you can experience. It's different than combo. I've never done combo. Bufo is also, yes, a toad medicine. So it's toad venom that they excrete from a frog. And you smoke it. It's administered by a shaman, and you smoke it.
So there's M3D, there's the M3EO in that Bufo.
5-MeAO is the chemical, the DMT chemical compound. The second ceremony, because
it's in the Bufo.
It's in the Bufo, yeah.
Gosh, that's what they extract from the frog. Okay, gotcha.
And it's like a resin. It almost looks like oil, like weed dab resin. It's it's kind of like that.
Damn. So it knocks you out like instantly.
It can really, take you to a whole other dimension. And that's what my second time was completely transcending of all my egos and human part, and it really blasted my mind to start integrating a whole new frequency of my psychic perception of everything here. It's fucking trippy, and it set me right. It all the noise and things that I was going on and whatnot, it cleared it and turned the dial to bring the frequency in a much more harmonious resonance with my mind and my heart.
Yeah.
The effects of that medicine, that intelligence, it hangs around you and works with you for a week, 10 days after you even take it.
It's like the glow.
Say it again.
Like the afterglow.
Like the afterglow. It brings up a lot to keep processing of what you've experienced. And the medicine even activated healing technology in my body that completely took over. That has to do with the breath and making sounds. I'm not going to do it live here, but it was very beautiful. It was very intense.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, like I never really tripped on combo. It's just purely a purge experience. Like combo wasn't really a trip as much as it was like deep parts of my body. Like, oh my gosh, it's really amazing for the cleanse, but it's nothing that I'd willingly do. Like marijuana, I've realized I have a bit of an addictive personality towards, like, it's easy for me to want to smoke every day. Thankfully, I'm on a tolerance break. Mushrooms, I won't mind doing every now and then. Combo, but especially DMT, I usually just like, okay, hold on. And I've never really been like that. Like normally I'm like head first, but like it's so serious and intense. It's like, and one thing with combo, but especially DMT more so, is the acceptance of death. and how like it really does feel for an instant like, oh shit, this is it. It's like an ego death. Would you say that was your experience with the,
Yeah.
is it a lot more intense with that? Or because like in my experience, when you take like that 3 DMT hit after like the first or second, if it's strong, there's this critical mind factor that hits that's like, you're fucking gonna die. Like it's over. And then you realize what you did, like, holy shit, oh my God. And then you just accept the shit. But like how much more intense is the 5-MeO with that?
It's super intense. It's the most intense thing I've ever experienced. I'm still processing all that I experienced and remember from there.
How fitting for a Scorpio in 8th house, like to really embrace that death or that aspect.
Very fitting because it helped me understand. It helped me understand myself as a demon slayer, being here and be literally living on that fine line of these two light and dark realms, and my role here, like as a Shambhala warrior, and that like I'm a self-proclaimed Shambhala warrior, and that's not something I'm just saying out of nowhere because I read a text somewhere. It's something that my own
self-initiated journey
has led me to do that. And when I took Bufo, it confirmed so many ideas of perceiving what my soul journey has been and why I'm here, which adds a very serious note of how I'm supposed to move forward from here on out. So in this time of now, I'm just taking it easy, regenerating myself, focusing, and that's why I really appreciate you and have a strong connection with the work that you do, because we are working in a spiritual warfare entanglement, and it's what the work you do and the information you share is very valuable, and has really helped me. Like it really has helped me in understanding my missions and things moving forward.
No, definitely. And that's once again like just the acceptance of, that's one thing that humbled me about just like the acceptance of forces within that are still latent, or just accepting death, really, because you go through the experience and then you're still alive, right? And it helps you overcome that. And it's not like you really feel like you're dying, but there is like an aspect with the ego aspect that will feel like it. And it's definitely worth doing once. It really does. It's very therapeutic. I didn't feel like I was taking a drug when I did it. It was really more so like a plant medicine or a medicine, but which I guess is a drug if you think pharmaceutically. But outside of that, I would say is angelic. And someone said thoughts on combo of vaccinated. I think that's a amazing idea, because it doesn't hurt. But as angelic exorcists, I feel like there's so little of us who champion or even acknowledge this realm. Exorcism is really just seen in the realm of science fiction and movies. I remember being laughed at when I made the declaration of wanting to be an exorcist as my vocation, because people understand it as the exorcism movie where people are just shaking, even though that stuff really happens too. It's something that I've realized from my experience, is seen through psychological maladies. A lot of people with mental illnesses are really just demon possessed or have impurities, right? But I noticed that exorcisms, the combo works with you before even coming to the ceremony. That's so true. I would say regarding exorcisms, I noticed more so how subtle and common these are, especially with Geminis, where we could perform exorcisms mid conversation and like trigger that dark energy with the spirit of our words. And yeah, people may hate us, but like, what's your experience with that with other people, especially in the 8th house? I could imagine you do this every day.
every day, and it's even more trickier since 2012 when Neptune went into Pisces. Been
Yep.
way more trickier.
Yep.
Where literally almost everyone got me twisted. Almost everyone got me twisted in some sort of way,
Yep.
and
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's probably that Neptune square to Gemini's. Like we're going through it way worse than Sagittarius. Okay, no offense, because they getting you too, but at least you're above it. You're in Mount Olympus. They all trying to shit on the gems. It's crazy. But I love how you said like twisting it up or getting you twisted. Like it's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, and it's um, so. For example, one of the ways of how I'm doing this in my day-to-day life right now is with my mother and my grandfather, specifically my mother. And just a disclaimer before getting into these details, like
And where are you from, real quick?
actually, right now I'm in a small town called Port Ludlow in Washington, which is actually a dragon. And I'm not far from the only rainforest in the northern hemisphere of the planet. So I'm on a journey right now with myself and the land and visiting a friend who lives over here. But lately, I've been out in Los Angeles for the last 4 months, working with my family out there, and
And
starting
where?
my salsa business.
Okay, and where are you and your family from?
But California.
Oh,
California.
okay. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
meant more like
California and Oregon.
Oregon. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what's up. My bad. I meant more like ethnicity, like
Oh, ethnicity. Oh, well, my father's Mexican and my mom was adopted, so she doesn't really know, but she's
cool.
fair skin, and
All
I
right.
think she might be like Spaniard and European, something like that.
Word. That's what's up.
Yep, 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 yep.
And so, concerning that, I will say recently, I received some bomb ass salsa from you. And that's the one thing that really stuck out to me, how good it smelled. It didn't smell like the regular salsa. It felt like there was some else in it, right? Some magic or whatnot. So I really did appreciate that. And then I realized that that's actually what you do now. Like you're mixing salsa with spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
So could you really speak? I think you were about to mention it, but could you speak more about what inspired you to become the Starseed Salsa, and how you came up with that name, and how you embarked on this journey?
Yeah, I started Starseed Salsa actually on the Virgo new moon in 2018, planting the seeds of intention and what that meant for me. And so in beginning of 2016, I started to experience a series of unusual health problems. I experienced a minor unexplainable tumor, injuries from getting hit by cars on a bicycle. Like just a number of things were stacking up where I was suddenly in a debilitated situation for a number of years. And as I was had no control of what was going on, I started to figure out how I can supplement my body with extra nutrients, and I got into the work of mushrooms. And so at the same time, I was also dissatisfied with every shitty salsa I was buying. I was like, I'm a cook, I'm an alchemist in the kitchen, so I'm just gonna start making my own salsa and putting these superfood ingredients in there. And I didn't realize that there was a value to market it until I started bringing it to potlucks and weddings, and everyone literally just falling in love with it and demanding large quantities.
Nice.
And I perfected the recipe. So in my salsa, starseed salsa are things like chaga, reishi, turkey tail, lion's mane, cordyceps, turmeric, ashwagandha, incorporating the Ayurvedic principles of nourishing the body in the salsa. And reason why it's called Starseed Salsa, and why I'm very health conscious with it, is because many of us experience what we call ascension symptoms, or symptoms of just all the things going on with the Schumann resonance and solar flares and things like that happening, and frequencies, and from the technology, just a constant noise of things happening. We're under a lot of pressure, as people inhabiting this planet, and it's pressure that's going to transform a carbon-based structure into a more crystalline thing. And nourishing and supplementing the body is a very important thing. So only high quality superfood supplements are in my salsa. And that's why it's so delicious. You feel the love, you feel the magic, you feel the nourishment, and it's fermented, so it's good for the gut biome and everything.
And it's cool because Scorpio, I always like to say, is the sauce. If Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about secret recipes and like the deep consistency and quality and pure quality. So that's really awesome to see reflected in the salsa, and how it's thick but still like substantial. That's awesome, and clearly healing, because you got Chiron and Jupiter in Cancer. So it's like it's channeling all that healing there. And a lot of people are already asking how to get it. Someone wants to know, is it Cali based? Where can I get this? How can I get some of your salsa? So we'll definitely near the end of the talk kind of speak more about connecting with you. But this is all based in California, right?
Yeah, this is based in California, and I on occasion travel outside the state to like an event, like some sort of Starseed UFO event, my kind of things I like to set up at.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I'll be in Vegas on the 20th at an event selling salsa. So June 20th on the solstice.
Awesome.
So anybody out there can definitely buy some salsa.
Other than that, which is awesome to see once again how you were able to, continue like so. And someone said needed the Discord link updated. So let me do that. Personally, you did mention a bit of trauma, or you did mention kind of like the path to getting on here. Would you mind sharing some of that story as far as overcoming some of the difficulty? I know you mentioned it a bit, but if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no problem. I actually wouldn't mind at all. And it's part of what I have to do is sharing this story. So disclaimer that I'm, not affected. I'm not in victim or whatever. So, I can get in the motion of sharing the story and transmitting the feelings, but I'm not stuck anywhere. And I've done a lot of work clearing all of that. So, I was a drug addict. I started smoking crystal meth at the age 14 for like almost 4 years. Those 4 years were fucking crazy. If you want to talk about being in hell and in the realm of demonic frequencies, fucking smoke meth for 4 years. Don't do it. But that's
Holy
what
shit. That's
as a teenager,
right.
And so that's one thing. And then the family I chose to incarnate with, there's a lot of dysfunctional energy from generations of addiction and dying and all that kind of stuff. I don't need to get into the details because I'm sure you all understand the storyline of that kind of stuff. But on a more unusual storyline, I even experienced things such as getting hit by motor vehicles while riding a bicycle on 3 separate occasions, all in the same year, where the first car that hit me was on the spring equinox, and the third car that hit me was on the fall equinox. So within the 6-month portal window, I was hit 3 times by motor vehicles on a bicycle. So I sustained a lot of injuries and recovered from all of that. But my most recent trauma stuff that I've overcome has been about what I experienced with my health, because I've recovered from 2 benign brain tumors and the injuries in my sustained from the accidents. Overcoming all of that. Sorry, the Gemini energy has got me like. There's.
Double Gemini energy too at that.
Yeah. So just those kinds of things are what I've had to overcome. But it's the trauma that's given me this very deep insight and connection of of understanding what's happening on a collective level, and the suffering that we're going through collectively that is generational, because with that Chiron conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, and I'm now progressed Sun in that Cancer area of that energy I was born with. So that progressed Sun and all the experience up until now has made me profoundly aware of these traumas that are in people, and in myself. And and I'm not working on trying to like heal or do anything by offering myself as a healer and saying, oh, I can see your traumas, let me heal you. I'm doing all my work is done through my inner world and my immediate environment, and seeing what's happening in my immediate environment and working with that, as a mirror, not needing to be seen,
Right.
as the individual doing work, being a friend, being with people at
Being a
that
true
point.
angel, basically.
Mm-hmm,
Right,
mm-hmm.
right, right. That's
And
awesome.
all that is really, I've really been able to see how great I've mastered this stuff working with my mom, because my mother is overcoming her meth addiction. There was even a time where her and I were fucking passing dope to each other.
Oh, word.
So that's the level of like low vibration that I've risen out of.
Right.
And my mom is still there, and she's got a lot of health problems. So I've and Saturn is in my fourth house on my north node. So I'm literally supposed to be working this with my mother.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. You're like
so
solving
she's
the karma this lifetime and family. That's wild.
it's huge, bro. It's fucking huge,
We have
man.
the opposite north node. Mine's in the 10th, yours is in the fourth. And like that's it's correlated. That's what I was also gonna speak on, how you manifest Sag and I manifest Gemini, which is lit. And I hate to interrupt, but I always find it very fascinating, the Scorpio archetype and the eighth house archetype, where you've definitively transformed, like you're unrecognizable. And it's always that archetype of like having to descend down to hell and then arise and transform like the phoenix. So I'm really loving seeing you like play that out.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's
And
great.
that's only
Fucking
starting too, post Saturn return.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I mean, that's why I'm not like kidding or fucking around when I'm saying shit like I'm a champion out here. I'm a bodhisattva out here, self-proclaimed with all this shit, because it's like you don't know where I've been and what I've come through. So on the outside I could seem or sound like this maybe delusional
Mm.
airy fairy here and there, not quite understanding, but that's all part of my medicine. Hey, Oka, motherfucker. Okay, we're out here champions, and it doesn't matter how you perceiving me is part of
Yeah.
that medicine working.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've learned not to let it affect me anymore. You've actually been a very helpful reminder on not letting the external things affect my internal compass. And that's also a big learning thing for North Node Aquarius people, is not using the external world as a barometer of accepting yourself.
Amen to that. And the eighth house also does deal with like addictions and also overcoming like boundary issues. So one, and the reason why I've really come to embrace that is that there could be a lot of guilt attached versus realizing that it's actually a part of your path, like having to engage in these substances and transform through. So it's really dope. It's really dope. And even to see the progress with your mother. And what's her zodiac sign?
She's a Pisces with a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising, North Node Gemini.
Oh, that's deep. Oh
Yeah,
man.
the connection is deep. My father is also a Leo sun, Scorpio rising, Aries moon, North Node Gemini.
So you're all Scorpio risings and your parents were destined to have you. That is fucking amazing. That is incredible. Holy shit.
Can't make this shit up.
Seriously. Damn. So you're born of okay, that's amazing. Even seeing the fourth house aspect really like unlocking this family karma once and for all too. So that's what's up. South Node 10th house, I've learned, is kind of like taking success from a past life or knowing how to personally, you know what I mean, put yourself out there. But you did that in a past life. So you're focusing more on your foundation and building that library of knowledge, which is even cooler. So, yeah, I mean, your story is very inspirational. Once again, it's really awesome to see how you're doing this with salsa. And thank you, Alex, for sharing the website, starseedsalsa.com. Please make sure you all hit that up. But all other than that, you know, with everything that's also been going on in the world, how do you feel 2020 versus 2021, where millions of us were gaslighted and lied to about the failure and embarrassment that is the 2020 elections? And fast forward to now, where Biden has lied about you know, offering loan forgiveness. And now Fauci is saying that he doesn't believe the virus was originated normally and he wants an investigation. Like, how? How did that? I mean, obviously it's the truth, right? But you know what? How has been your perspective throughout this period?
Um, it's all been a lot to process, but the whole thing has really activated me to start this journey of integrating my true self and what I meant to become, and no longer living in a band-aid reality of complacency. Because before you know, my last job, I was a community organizer for a very respectable environmental nonprofit that has been protecting an amazing river for the last 20 years. So as a community organizer, and I was very involved with community, bringing people together, creating campaigns, problem solving on how to stop industry from building river, and even problem solving on how to bring people together that have certain differences into the same room to come to an agreement that X, Y is bad. And so that's what I was doing, and I loved it, and it was taking care of me. It was financially, you know, with benefits and things like that. And I had an apartment. I had a relationship and pets, and everything that I was connected to was a false reality that I had consented to, that were actually, you know, uh, um, in a way, very clever ways of these interdimensional energies of keeping me locked in contractually to something.
Mm.
And so I had to, when the pandemic hit, it brought me to the point of realizing my current reality structure for what it is, and how it's not actually serving my highest purpose right now. But it's all been in divine timing, because it everything unfolded the way it was supposed to. So I literally you know, quit my job because I couldn't play with the charades, because the people coming to these circles, you know, with their heartstrings being plucked by the narratives going on and things like that, I couldn't hold space for these gatherings anymore of people thinking, being triggered by Trump this or pandemic that, or the mask, and all these narratives going on. I was like, fuck this. I can't tolerate that, now that things have escalated to this level of in your face, you know. So left everything, moved all the way to Arkansas from fucking Oregon, and have been on a journey of really being like, fuck, this is it. Like, this is it, and I still got shit that I'm crying about, and I need to like let this shit go, because it's time to fucking, like, whatever the fucking thing I'm fucking tripping about right now, I gotta, excuse my language, it's time to
Please fucking
get
crit
it out
as
of
much
here.
as you fucking want. That's totally fine.
You know, and to see, you know, because we have to be real. What the fuck is going on is genocide. There's no sugarcoating it. It's fucking genocide, and we were on and on and on of all the things happening. So it's been a very interesting time going through all this. But where I'm at in comparison to a year later is I feel free. I feel liberated. I feel empowered. Still a little bit of confusion, but I am nowhere near where I was back then. And now there are new people crossing my paths that I can, that we're all able to see in one another, that we're meant to come together, and all of what we've individually experienced in our lives to this point of now coming together here as a soul family is we come with different skills and abilities to create a guild, because we are at that point of guild wars, and it's just it's beautiful to have that awareness, and to have you also being able to articulate, so geniusly, the energy dynamics that are unfolding. It's fucking, it's crazy. It's exciting. It's legit a game. Divine RPG all day.
Love how you said that, especially because, even having to deal with the identity politics of it all, like, did you really get, I know you mentioned Trump earlier. Did you get any flack for being a Mexican or being labeled as Mexican and supporting Trump? Like, how, I don't think that conversation has been a lot too. Like, how has that been?
I did get that even when I announced that I voted for Trump. Not so bad, more so just a lot of people were shocked because, in 2016 when he was inaugurated, I'm not going to lie, I was one of those people that was like, fuck that guy, he's trying to deport my people.
Right.
That's what triggered me to become a community organizer.
Wow.
Where I then began working for nonprofits, learning of all these different social and environmental causes, with the narrative that Trump is enemy number one.
Right.
And about my, going into my second year of community organizing, I then realized that I was no longer communicating as an individual thinker. I was now regurgitated hive mind information. And so once I came to that point, I realized, okay, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. And I'm out here talking like I understand this shit. So I need to take a step back and connect to me and what's going on here, because this shit ain't adding up. While also having dreams of Trump, dreams of aliens, dreams on dreams on dreams and synchronicities that are putting me in places to question and perceive.
Right.
So I was one of those people that was like protesting anti-Trump and all this shit, and then
which I don't blame you too, because I mean the spin doctoring was just lethal. Oh my gosh! Like, if you didn't watch the original clips, they just outright lying like this is like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Those evil geniuses.
Oh my gosh! Like, I thought I knew it was bad before, but he opened my eyes to like how horrible it really could be. Like, Jesus Christ, to the point where you even point out the actual twisting of news and people still don't care. Like, they still just want to be angry, which was purely brainwashing. But I mean, I could really respect you feeling that way at first, really, and that's one reason why in 2016, when people were hating on Trump, I was not a Trump fan. I didn't give a fuck about politics, but the thing that I loved was this dude is spurring people to give a fuck about politics. I like the fact that people who didn't like him, who were not interested in politics, became interested in politics. And so I felt that his force is just necessary just to get people involved. And that's what it did. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether people want to admit it or not, Trump forced people to take this shit seriously, especially people who don't. And it's great to see how you were able to see through that. And you mentioned casually, alien dreams of him and aliens, which I think is interestingly correlated. So that's also awesome. Yeah. Freaking wild.
Yeah. Freaking. And what's even wilder is when you come across other people where you can feel that energy, and then someone asks, or you asks, have you had any dreams with Trump by any chance? And they're like, yes. Or you're like, yes. And then you're exchanging what kind of dream specifics you've had with him. And I've had multiple of these encounters with individuals in the dream realm. Mars and Pisces in the 5th house over here, and Neptune's on my Pisces right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's fucking, it's lit in the dream world.
That's deep. That's very deep.
It's so deep, and please exercise that discernment muscle, or you're gonna get fucking trolled out here. And I've been trolled, you know, and it's fucking funny to laugh at now, but damn, when they
Yeah, that he taught me firsthand about the Neptune square Gemini sun too. Like he was the front line, but I had already seen people do it with Kanye, so that's why when I saw it with Trump, I was like, okay. Because a lot of people were like, to this day, my whole like synopsis of this, because people think that it's a Trump thing, and it's like, no, it's a Gemini man thing. Y'all hate Geminis so much. Y'all got like straight up, y'all even got a Azalea Banks, like even the Gemini woman. So, you know, not everyone's Angelina Jolie who knows how to play the game, and like, you know, she right. But like it is what it is. It is what it is. And shout out to Angelina Jolie too. But like, yeah, like it just taught me that y'all just fucking hate powerful Geminis, and y'all will do anything that you can to fucking, you know what I mean? Like get in the way of the truth. But it totally is a true thing. And outside of that, let's play the 3 questions game.
Okay.
Sweet. So we'll take turns asking each other 3 questions. You can go first.
Okay. Is there anything that you can share more on the Scorpio embargo?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. My first question was going to be Scorpionic and 8th house too, so we're on the same wavelength. So the Scorpio embargo, I feel is actually, because the most recent that I channeled or picked up about it personally, I felt like it was supposed to be lifted sooner, right? And this is Scorpio Moon Colby right here. I feel like I feel like it could have been lifted sooner, but I'm really picking up 2023 when Pluto enters 0 degrees Aqua. And the whole notion of Pluto Aqua, the reason why Pluto Aquarius is going to be so chaotic and controversial, Pluto Aqua, which is the hackathon, hackers will take over the world before vampires treat humans as livestock. And also the whole notion of the Star Killer saga. We're already starting to see it, but post 2023, 2024, it's not going to be safe to be a celebrity. Like there's going to be that whole notion where celebrities are this, you know, social construct that takes people's money and puts on this allure of like being better than their supporters, which isn't necessarily even true. But this is just extreme ideals that terrorists or domestic terrorists will take, and like you're going to see a lot of celebrities get assassinated during this period to like end that whole wave opposite Leo of the celebrity or the star. It's not going to stop that. You'll just see more bodyguards. But personally, Pluto and Aqua is going to be like that because everything that's been hidden from the Scorpio embargo will be come to light. Like all of Pluto Aqua, everything that's been hidden for generations will continue to come more into light, and it's going to piss humanity off. And that's what's going to lead to the revolution. So Scorpio embargo, I would say, is already, you know, lifting, but I really see that 0 degree Aqua point, which is like 2023 into 2024, where we'll get sneak peeks. And of course, leading into there, we'll still get more releases. So now I'm thinking it's definitely because of that square that kind of releases that. But it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that strict of a time limit. If we just think of the concept of the embargo, we are in that period where what was hidden is coming to light regardless. The moon is currently directly opposite Uranus, by the way, for whoever wants to, you know, right. So it's definitely going to be super chaotic, much necessarily so. But I think the reason why you asked me that too is the first thing that's going to lift with the Scorpio embargo. What the Scorpio embargo is doing is effectively limiting Aries Gemini, that was the purpose, because Gemini was going to snitch on Scorpio. Basically, Gemini was about to like say everything, and then Scorpio had to like protect the rest of the crew. So it limited Aries and it limited Gemini. It didn't really limit Leo, but like that first 4 zodiac signs were limited because now there's information hidden. So because of the lack of ability to express that truth, it limited Aries' power. The release of this Scorpio embargo is going to regain and return Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer back to their original strength. We're not going to have seals or limits on our power. How did it limit Aries? If you think about the individual limits of sovereignty, and if you think about how most Aries cannot be themselves and how they have to literally dim their fire because it's too much for most people, a lot of that is through social nuance that is really a part of the embargo, is they're reacting to something secret that's embargo. So that the release of this embargo is going to, within every individual and everybody, release superpowers. And that's all a part of this apocalypse cycle and the rest. So I'm giving you a date of 2023, but it's more accurate to say that as we get closer to there, it'll slowly release more. So it's not just going to like release, it's going to be slowly. And that's why we're getting revealed more and more information. People who are hiding information realize they're getting caught. So now they have to look like they're revealing it, even though we know these bitches like basically did it and they're trying to save face. So I think that's a very relevant question you asked. And I think everyone watching this may have an experience of that. Like for those of us who are watching this and who are woke, you're tapping more into Pluto. So those who are seeking are going to gain insight into the embargo, especially if you have moon, sun, or rising past Scorpio. You're already aware of it, especially like if you have moon or rising or sun, like you're gonna feel it. You just may, if you have a lower sign, not be able to express it until this embargo is lifted. It's the embargo that makes it so that you speak about the truth and people don't take you serious. It's not that people don't take you serious. It's a thin, psychological, subtle layer of illusion so that everything that comes from you saying it is distorted. It's a Neptunian barrier, which is a very dark side of Piscean element and Scorpio element, where like you can't see it, but like psychologically, you could be saying the truth, but because of this psychological barrier, the way people will hear it is just some crazy shit, even if you break it down, right? So it's very subtle. And unless you have Gemini energy or like energy that can discern, these energies can break through the barrier. So there's a lot of, and bringing the embargo, there's a lot of you who are wondering why people are brainwashed. You are going to be brainwashed too, but you had energy in your chart or within you that blocked you from being brainwashed. And now you're seeing how, and it has nothing to do with like being smart. Like even some of the most brilliant people are being brainwashed because this is like from a higher energy that's casting at Neptune and Pisces, right? So like some people have Gemini energy, some people have Sag energy, some people have like Saturn placements that cut through this, or they put themselves under an illusion so they couldn't fall for the illusion, and now it's dispelling. And now we're like the first responders having to deal with everyone else kind of literally brainwashed, and brainwashed in a subtle sense. It's not like they've lost their processing ability. It's not like they're dumb. It's not like they've lost the ability to really cognitively function. It's just so subtle to the point where they don't notice. So, you know, it's going to, and so to lead into my question for you, what is it like? I really just wanted to hone in more on what it's like to be an 8th houser and representing the Scorpio vibe. How does that help you connect with the 8th house with other people, if anything, and your relationship with the Scorpio vibe?
It's not just 8th house energy. It's 8th house energy expressed through the archetype of Gemini.
Exactly.
So that's
true
even, that's even more specific because, you know, what is Gemini? Gemini is the mind. Gemini is how you process information. The nervous system, every channel that's communicating in all your wiring, that's all Gemini processing. So to be a sun moon Gemini in the 8th house is that I'm aware, consciously and subconsciously. I become more aware of the subconscious, but the sun being there, you know, helps with that. But in terms of with other people, is that the longer I'm around an individual, and the more we are talking, it's through the exchange of talking where I can literally, boom, get there with them too, where they are at in their mind.
Wow.
And then with the Cancer, with the Chiron and Jupiter Cancer, as I'm there also with their mind, I can understand why it is and how it is they're processing their information, and then can locate where there is the suffering, the trauma, the program. And everything that you said about that Scorpio embargo is very accurate and very true, especially in terms of Gemini being the one to spill the beans about it, because I've been paying attention and following your work since 2016. And every time you tap into the Scorpio embargo, I'm like, shit, I know exactly what all that is. Like, I just know I know what that is.
Instrument of Pluto, right?
Right. And there are a lot of secrets that I can perceive and have not yet been able to articulate to share, because my Capricorn stellium and seals are in my 3rd house.
Yeah. And you just had the return that unlocked
it. And then Pluto is now stationed on my Saturn. So there's so much is releasing, but it's,
by the way, the significance of Pluto stationing on our Saturn, we're having our final awakening right now. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely, it feels like it too.
Thank you. After I get off here with you, I'm going to be taking some plant medicine here.
Right when the moon is opposite Uranus too. That's deep. Next year. Awesome.
It's been a journey into being able to develop this awareness and this process of these energies that are part of my field, a part of my chart, because for years and years and years, the 8th house in Scorpionic energy is very absorbent. We'll absorb the energy of an entire fucking room, of an entire block, of an entire apartment building, just absorbing all of that unconscious energy. And for myself, I was dealing with processing so much shadow work that wasn't entirely mine, but I worked it through as if it was mine. So it's interesting. It's weird to explain.
Kind of like a projector.
Yes, and then because I have Mercury conjunct my DC opposite my Pluto and my Scorpio rising, I have a natural tendency to feel an urgency to want to tell people. But I've been blocked and restricted, and every time I share, as soon as I speak, I can feel Neptune's energy fucking, and then I'm like, shit, fuck, like it didn't.
That's deep.
Yeah.
You really broke down some incredibly complex stuff too.
We can go for days, you and I. I'm pretty sure of breaking it down.
Right. That's it.
So the whole brainwashing thing with the Scorpio embargo and everything, and things loosening up in going into 2023, because all of these are like cycles within a cycle, leading into Uranus going into Gemini. For the true revolution to begin,
and so hit you first too. That's gonna be awesome, dude. When that fucking happens, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Super Geminis is gonna be walking everywhere like, you ate this for breakfast. This. You ain't shit. Someone's about to walk in the door in 2 seconds. How did you? I can't wait. We all gonna be President Trump. It's gonna be lit.
Yes.
Holy shit.
But there are many campaigns out there that from this shadow hidden hand, campaigns that even began over 100 years ago. What do I mean by campaign? Campaign as in a thought form, a conversation, something trending. There are even unconscious agents, like how you spoke about, Aries in the Scorpio embarment. I've experienced many Aries that have unconsciously programmed where they're actually doing the opposite of what they're meant to do in that role, where they're actually enforcing and character, assassinating other people's character to keep them in that matrix. So they turn the warrior inside out.
Aries got the most fucked from the embargo, I would say. because Scorpio is their 8th house. So like they basically got neutered. Every Aries got completely neutered.
It's harsh,
And
man. It's fucking
yeah,
harsh.
it's
Um,
wild.
I have so many of my Aries brothers and sisters, dude. It's fucked up. But
We're
reason I
seeing it
bring,
attacking a masculinity.
yeah, yeah. So,
But Chiron's gonna heal Aries. It's all good.
I didn't catch that. Say it again.
Chiron is an Aries. So now that the embargo is lifting, Chiron's gonna heal Aries and go around the cycle and restore everything.
Perfect. All is divine. It's happening.
Yeah.
But in terms of programming and brainwashing is, MK Ultra. We have to understand that we've all been MK Ultra in one way, one fashion or another. And these MK Ultras are enforced through the multiple campaigns. Like a very simple example I can give of that are things like the man bun. That is a psychological campaign. There's so many of these different subtle nuances, like how you were saying, and to pinpoint what one of them is something like a man bun, because then now you're having this air in the psychic field where there's all this projection of what an individual is or represents that has a man bun. There's a campaign around it. And so now when you have people coming together, they can't even see you, another being in front of them. All they can hear is the noise of the projections on how to perceive an individual with a man bun.
Man bun. That's so factual.
There's campaigns within campaigns within campaigns within campaigns within campaigns.
Just to add on what you're saying, because it's so important, it's the very subtle addition of deception in ways where on the surface you can't call it out. Like, for example, if someone's wearing a dress, right? And then it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. He's just paying homage, right? Even though at the end of the day, there's still that subliminal effect of seeing someone wear a dress like that. And it's like how they use rhetoric to subtly excuse and Trojan horse some shit that you can totally see through the agenda for. And then, of course, by using rhetoric of not everything has to be an agenda, which is true. They're not, it's like they're saying half truths, true statements, but you're still Trojan horsing, like, whether narratives about man buns or just like very suspect shit that, you just need an excuse for it to even the person doing it may be unconscious of what's happening, right? And maybe even genuine with what they're doing. But, it's just very interesting.
Yeah, and that's why I really value that part in the movie of The Matrix where Morpheus is walking Neo through the simulation. That whole red dress scene. What Morpheus is telling Neo up to the point before the woman with the red dress walks by is that you see everybody here in the city are plugged into the Matrix, and they don't know that they're plugged into the Matrix and are slaved and having their energy harbored, and they will do anything in their power to defend this Matrix. So even the very people we're trying to liberate are our enemies until they're liberated themselves.
That's facts. And I thought about it too, like when I thought about our mission, because I know our North Node Aquarius mission has everything to do with like busting out the system and like not and let me not say that because we're not rebels without causes, right? But like coming out of this old, outdated sense of authority, and tapping with this more celestial order. I realized that realistically, a lot of what we want is going to bring about the end of this current system. And so realistically, just like you just said, so many people are invested in the money they're making in markets, the safety of their family. It doesn't matter how woke you are. Someone will betray you in an instant if they have to protect their children because the government is saying, hey, if you work with this person, we'll murk your kids, right? Like it's beyond the factor. And that's why it's hard to trust people, because it's beyond the factor of how well-meaning people are. Everyone has attachments in this matrix, in the system. And as spiritual as people may act, the people who are truly about it, remember, Jesus had over 100 people following him. And what a lot of people forget is before he got crucified, that most, if not all of them, left him. And he only had the 12 left. You know, most people who are walking this path, especially on YouTube, getting crucified on social media, like, you know, you have all this support until you say one thing that people don't like. And then the same people supporting you will basically forget that they were saying you were the truth earlier. So I really respect everything that you're saying, because that's one of the most important elements of walking this path. Like, how willing are you to really risk it all? Because we effectively are making ourselves enemy of this current world structure, in an effort to align it with truth. Not to say that it has to happen the way we want and we decide the fate of others, but you know, just how people are desperately wanting to defend this matrix reality, not really realizing the true nature of it or caring at this point. A lot of people just don't care anymore. So it's just like, wow.
No shit. And that's why, you know, a lot of these folks think we're currently under a revolution, but we're under a revolution that's still within the false matrix construct. So it's not a true revolution, and that's
Exactly.
what we're leading to. My next question. My next question is, so there's in my interface, like with this game, and right on cue, Alex, I see Alex's comment, because he's so guild wars, guilds coming together. There's like a pattern I'm recognizing of people coming together in age gaps of like of 20 years, 6 years, and 10 years, of these, and where either where the individuals are coming together, where the north nodes are aspecting in certain ways, and that's where I'm coming to understand the coming together in a gilding aspect. Because
the first thing I was going to mention.
Say it again.
The first thing I was going to mention when you said 20 and 10 years is that's nodal aspects. So 20 years, people who are 20 years apart have the same nodes. People who are 10 years apart have the opposite nodes, which is very cool.
It is very cool. And just the way my mind works in trying to process all this is very in a militant format, trying to create, you know, protocols, chain of command, understanding, breaking things down into platoons of specialized traits and uniqueness and things like that. So that's where I'm trying to articulate these questions, with the North Node aspect, because I look at the 1990 as like the year of the cosmic champions, and we're an undefeated platoon of special troops.
Goat Squad.
Goat Squad. So I'd be interested to hear anything that you have to check
about Guild Wars, or about that specific year, or just the whole.
Specifically 1990.
All right, and that's a very important question, because a lot of people don't realize 1990 specifically is like a fulcrum point. So it's all based on cycles. And so before we talk about 1990, because I'll always say the greatest year ever is 1990. I'm purely biased here, but I will always say like 1990 is the great. And I've always said this before I even knew about astrology. So like after realizing it, I was like, oh, no wonder. So before I say this, huge shout out to 86 and 87, because 86, 87, I realize is one of the most important years, because they have Saturn conjunct Uranus at the tail end of Sagittarius. And so they're the reason why when we have Saturn and Uranus at the tail end of Gemini and we start that new system, they're going to basically unlock the supernatural, magical meaningfulness and understanding of how to incorporate this and bust the system and innovate the system. A lot of people born in the late 80s are super crucial. 88 and 89 is the beginning of the triple conjunction between Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So Uranus conjuncts Saturn at 86, 87, and then they both go into Capricorn to catch up to Neptune. And so that's why I say 88, 89 is part of Goat Squad, but 88 is North Node Pisces, which the Janae Aiko, Big Sean generation, I like to see, if you think of the magicians, North Node Pisces reset the wheel to bring back magic to the collective. It's a heaven to earth. So 96 is North Node Virgo. They're like from heaven to earth, right? Or any North Node Virgo, but that whole axis is there. And so then you have the North Node Aqua, the magic that North Node Pisces brought back in online. If we use that as an analogy, now North Node and Aqua, we're taking that magic and we have to express that to the collective, right? And spread that knowledge by being different and unique. North Node Capricorn takes that knowledge and establishes it in the system. And this is why 91 and 90 are the twin years. In that, 1990 has Saturn in Cap, North Node Aqua. 91 has North Node Cap, Saturn in Aqua. So we literally exchange karma and destiny. It's very, very interesting. So 1990, I feel, is very crucial because now we have the element of Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus more fully conjunct. They really conjunct more 88 to 89, but we have them established in the second and third, the first and second decan, and or Saturn in the third in our case. And so the reason why this is very crucial is it's not all of 1990, because after August, Jupiter enters Leo. And after like December or November, December, the North Node enters Capricorn in conjunct Saturn. So I would say 88, 89, but especially 90, especially where Jupiter is conjunct Cancer, or Chiron is conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, is a very crucial point. And the reason why I say this is one of the most important years is Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus is the definitive cyclical beginning of the advent of the push of consciousness. It's 30 years from that point that led to 2020. And now we're all awakening the fuck out of like the whole collective. And now if we look to before that, because when I say we're the greatest, this is not to discount the older generation. This is the buildup and cumulative cycle of the older generation, notably the 60s and the 70s, doing so many charts and reading like the North Node Gemini, Uranus, Neptune, and Sag. Like each decade has the dopest psychic abilities that no one else has. And Saturn and Sag started with Saturn and Scorpio. So shout out to 84, 83, 85, because that's where Pluto Scorpio started. So in order to understand 1990, especially, Pluto Scorpio has Saturn Scorpio, Saturn Sag with 86, 87, Saturn Cap, us. And the reason why this is so important is Saturn rules Capricorn. So this is Saturn coming back home to get ready to push the collective over the next 30 years. Saturn Aqua, the aliens, and then Saturn Pisces. The most important people right now are people who are born 93, 94, 95, because what we're going to see is Saturn is going to be in Pisces, ending the karmic cycle, as Pluto in 95 left Scorpio and entered Sag, so that when Kylie Jenner and her generation was born, Saturn was in Aries, started that cycle off, and they represent the whole new generation that's going to create the whole new world when they come of age. They're not going to do that without us. We literally, Pluto Scorpio, have to destroy, now that Pluto's back in its home, what is not built in purity, so that what's left is only pure for Pluto Sag, 95 and beyond, to create. And so this is where Saturn in Capricorn is so very important, because we have a very crucial period where Saturn was in Capricorn in its dignity, while Jupiter was exalted in Cancer, enabling us to harness. And this is why it's so important. When I say we're the greatest, when now we talk, and I don't say that out of ego, I say that out of more so respecting. We couldn't be this way if it wasn't for the older generation. Once again, the 60s that had Neptune and Scorpio, Pluto, Uranus in Virgo, which is huge, because the last time Saturn was in Capricorn, other than 90, was in 59. And that was when Uranus and Pluto was in Virgo, Neptune was in Scorpio. Everyone in the 60s has the most psychic energy right now, because unlike us who are born in the 90s who still have to develop, people with Neptune and Scorpio have their Neptune and Pisces. It's fully developed. People with Uranus and Virgo, now it's in Taurus. Like, these people are psychic in ways that science fiction can't catch up to, but they're Neptune and Scorpio. So people born in the 60s and 70s, they don't even tell people they're that psychic. They can know when their kids are lying. Like it's crazy. It doesn't mean that they don't have trauma, but now we take it a step further. Throughout the 80s, this is when Uranus and Neptune went into Sag, and then visual hallucinations and also visualization clairvoyancy came through. And now we have Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn that's more amped to the body and connects us. So the reason why this is important is we represent the height of psychic power. Everyone born after 1990 and everyone literally born from 91 and especially 95 and beyond now takes the greatness of our power that started 88, 89, and specifically 90 and takes it to the next level. They take it to the stars, specifically starting from when Saturn goes into Aquarius, and they're even stronger than us, but it's based on our power because we started the cycle. Saturn left Capricorn and went to Aquarius, while Neptune eventually reached Pisces 30 years later, right? So the reason why this is so important, when we look at power, the four powers are Aries, which is individual, Cancer, which is individual, Libra, which is social, and Capricorn, which is collective. Capricorn represents all power, all right? It's the government structure, which is collective, correlating to all of us coming together in order to agree upon rules, square Libra, where we can socially, of course, enforce this with law and fairness. And so that means that out of every single astrological archetype, outside of children born 2020 with Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars in Capricorn, 1990 is still more powerful than 2020 because once they're 30, they'll blow us out the water, but they have Jupiter in its fall. We have Jupiter in its exaltation. So if we just look at quality of power, right? We are the only generation in all of human history that has Saturn in its dignity in Capricorn, with Jupiter exalted in Cancer. So if we just look at cardinal aspects, Saturn is in the most powerful sign. And compared to other charts without Capricorn, the presence of Saturn in Capricorn makes that so much more powerful. And so this physiological sensation of power that's harnessing Uranus and Neptune relative to 59, where Uranus was in Virgo, 30 years later, it reached to trine and conjunct in Capricorn. Uranus represents the causal realm of the mind. Neptune represents the imagination. So all of us born in 1990, 88 and 89 have the extra dimensional ability. But I'm going to see 88 and 89 was before the conjunction. This was before it met. It met in 89. And so 90 is post conjunction. This is where Saturn is beyond Neptune, and Neptune is still moving a little bit ahead of Uranus, but Uranus eventually catches up. So this is where, okay, relative to that, we're literally drawing from the extra dimensional realms of imagination with Neptune, and then the causal realm of the mind with Uranus. It's drawing extra dimensional energy from outside time and space, anchoring it into Saturn to become material. And now our bodies are literal portals to sense energy intuitively and to literally bring stuff into fruition. This specific cycle is the generational cycle that opened the door towards advanced psychic abilities that younger generations surpass us with, but based on that cycle. So it's all based on that triple conjunction. And where was Pluto? In Scorpio. So we have Pluto and Scorpio in its dignity, Saturn and Capricorn in its dignity, and some of us had Jupiter in Cancer. So that's why we're one of the most powerful generations, North Node and Aqua, where our karma is collective, because our responsibility is to the whole collective to really transform the social dynamics to prepare the new generation, 95, to create the new world. So if you have Saturn Aqua, if you have Saturn Pisces, and you were born in the 90s, you're one of the most important people right now, because everything that Saturn Cap did, we've passed that torch for you to inherit that burden. And it's a lot. It's the fate of the whole world on our shoulders. And inheriting and having to purge all this bullshit that the older generation had to deal with. and were deliberately lied to, most of which, but still pulled through, right? I want to honor the older generation, because as much as there may be hate, there were a lot of woke individuals in the older generation. They just didn't have social media or the ability to really break through the brainwashing. So I really love what you asked, because you know it's very interesting. Big Boy spoke about Uranus Aquarius is the next level of this. So there's the 1990, right? There's the 1983 has Jupiter in Sagittarius, Uranus in Sagittarius, Neptune in Sagittarius. So 83 is like 90, because where they have Jupiter, we have Saturn.
Wow.
And then you have the 2000s with Uranus in Aquarius, Neptune in Aquarius, right? Fucking crazy shit. And people with Uranus and Aquarius are directly tapped into celestial beings. But a lot of these parents think that their kids are crazy, that they're telling them about alien experiences, but they don't realize the new generation is going to take us to the stars. So everything that I said too is still just the tip of the iceberg. It's still just very fascinating. Very, very fascinating.
It's really fascinating, because where I'm seeing, like, in all that description, as a 90 powerful psychic generation individual, is that we're guardians, and I'm recognizing my role as a guardian for this later generation, because in these past 4 months now, in my social circle of people I'm working with, moving forward with visions and plans, they are younger than me, and I know what generations they're connected to. And I'm seeing that, and so I'm understanding myself as someone that has this over a decade's experience and interface with a perception and wisdom of astrology, and my own experience also is that I'm recognizing my role with this collective coming together that is building, and I am their guardian. I'm one of their guardians. I'm one of their wisdom keepers, and that also allows me to be able to be a seer, to see where there's any shenaniganeries going on and say, this is not tolerated. Get out of here.
And I want to mention something that I almost forgot, that you helped me channel right now. The most important thing about being born in the 90s, there's something that on the 90s we represent. Not if you're born after 95, it may not apply to you, because y'all are on some completely different shit. And if you're born after 95, you are not allowed to listen to any of us from the older generation, because the world is yours. Like, y'all are literally about to take it to a new place. All you got to do is wait for your Saturn return. Like, there's no input we can give you, because you're taking to a whole new place. Like this, you're stepping into the realm of the gods. But if you're born in the late 80s or 90s, you represent a unique aspect of human civilization. There's no one else in human history like you. And what do I mean by this? Everyone born before 1990 did not have collective energy. So if you were born in the 80s, if you were born in the 70s, you had Saturn going through the first 8 signs of the zodiac. You had Pluto that was in Libra. Okay, you had Uranus and Neptune that didn't even make it to Sagittarius yet, unless you're born in the 70s or 80s. So that means people born in the 70s, 60s, 50s, war periods, they had to grow up really quickly. They didn't have the luxury of peace times, the epidemics in the 70s and 80s, Reaganomics, for depending on where you were, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of demographic, these people had to grow up very fast. We are late bloomers. We're the only ones with collective energy. We have all our outer planets in the God signs. This means that it takes at least 30 years. Even child actors and people in our generation who came into success early didn't really enjoy it until their 30s, right? They could have suffered trauma if they had it before. Like, we are quintessentially, because we have so much strong superpowers, it takes at least 30 years to develop it. 30 is the new 18, like Colby said. 30 is the new 20s. So you have a bunch of people in the 60s, 70s, 80s calling us millennials, because when they were our age, they already had families, they already had like a certain amount of money, And they don't realize that we're late bloomers. We're not even supposed to come into that until 30, 40, because we've inherited civilization in a place where the old is dead and we literally have to create new paths. So like the most important thing about being in this generation is the pressure of success and realizing that you have no pressure to succeed at all. Like it's gonna take closer to your mid to late 30s to step into this because of the level of power that's ingraining and having to awaken. So something to keep in mind, because a lot of people in our generation are very stressed because they feel like they're supposed to be in a family. They feel like they're supposed to have 6 figures in their bank account. And it's like, no, you're just getting started. Like you don't know the level of power you have. So it's very important here.
Hell yeah.
Right. And my second question for you is, let's say you're embarking on a ridiculous adventure of epic proportions that is going to really uncover, oh, there we go. It's your official exorcism adventure, and you're going on a world tour to really, individually go around and put in work, house cleanings, help in your own original way how to deal with this issue, like everyone doing their rounds. Who are 2 guides you bring on you? They could be 2 planets, they could be 2 avatars. I was gonna ask what 2 planets you would bring, but you're not limited to planets. So like, yeah. But like higher beings or ascended masters, who would you like call on or bring with you?
White calf buffalo woman is someone that that has introduced herself to me recently. That I ever since I went to Arkansas. Her.
Nice.
I won't go into like the details of that whole interface with that or anything, but that's one. And then the other is are all the places in nature that I have been to and planted a crystal grid. I've traveled the country in my van creating crystal grids at sites. And
Oh,
so
so you really about it. That's what's up.
I
You
work with the land. I do all sorts of things
on
with the
solo
grid,
mission already.
following ley lines. I'd be creating maps and all
Could
sorts
you
of
say that one more again? Because I think it might have, you said it so nonchalantly, you almost really undermine how profound what you just said is. So you traveled the country laying crystal
I crystal grids. I travel the country building crystal grids on a ley line grid in America. So I visit lots of sacred waterfall sites, rivers, mountains, forests, desert canyons, and this is something that my life has trained me in to realize this, and it's all part of opening and understanding not new, but really stretched and worked out psychic connectivities and telepathic connection with the land, with my higher self, with these beings, and trusting what's being asked of me and moving forward with it, no matter how crazy or weird it seems, because trusting the process as it unfolds, you're like, wow. And so one of the guides I summon forth is the land, are the mountains, are the rivers, the trees, the mountains, and the bees. And that brings this space because of like, I'm a really sensitive, empathic, psychic individual with these energies, and sometimes it could be difficult for me to tune into my channel. The best way for me to do that is to be in nature. So I'm in nature a lot, and that's where I'm able to tune into 1-800 station Mario, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, aka the salsa shaman. So that, and what I'm practicing right now is not more so summoning the presence of an ascended master or another power separate than me, but is to really expand the integration of my own higher self, my own multidimensional aspects, because over these last decades, many fractal aspects of my soul have been revealed, and so now I'm wanting to integrate them and to work with them. So more so summoning the process of trusting myself and trusting what I'm connected to and allowing it to flow through.
Right. Trust is definitely a huge deal for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a huge deal. My next question for you is this is my third question, more of a personal one about related to my chart because fuck man,
No problem.
what sort of like advice or wisdom or information you can explain for an individual that's for the next 2 years on and off going to have Uranus on their natal Mercury in Taurus with Neptune on their natal Mars in Pisces, and then motherfucking Pluto on that Saturn
No,
right
that's
there.
deep. That's deep.
Can you give me
I
some pose,
resonate.
brother?
I resonate with that because soon it'll be soon it'll actually be you know what I'm saying? Personally, over my Mercury, like 2027. So I think yours is a lot more intense because I think Pluto for you is opposite your Mercury, right?
Yes.
Right. And so it's squaring Jupiter, and and it definitely puts you in a position to what I think is happening while you went through the Bufo ceremony. In fact, the moon is opposite your Mercury right now. So like this is really gonna unlock the processing ability of your mind. What Uranus is doing is it's connecting the causal realm to your brain's ability to physically process. So the hyocausal faculty of your brain, which is hard to put into words because you have this physical material realm, and then you have the astral realm, which is like a spiritual plane where everything you imagine comes into form, ruled by Pisces. Then you have, or Neptune. So the causal realm to me seems to be an intermediary where we don't have to see it as a physical space, but it's like an intermediary through the mind from the imagination and this real world. And it's like with Uranus on Mercury, the reason why it enables claircognizance is it's connecting your brain's processing ability, which is slowed down and methodical in Taurus, which is cool for Gemini, and it's linking it with this claircognizant sense of Uranus that will twitch fiber physiologically the knowledge of what you're processing through the causal realm to bypass the need of analysis and reasoning and cut you straight to the answer. That's just one aspect. I feel like with Uranus, it also helps channel electrically and conduct electricity so that you have very shocking thoughts grounded here. But then we have to bring Pluto's opposition to it, which is nuclearly transforming the depth of soul anchored with your rising sign to bring and fuel that oil or that underground wisdom through Taurus to be communicated to other people. So this is extraordinarily innovating the nature of how you translate this unspoken wisdom and ground it into practical themes. Uranus meaning to innovate the way you communicate. But the key here really is Saturn that's squaring this. Saturn and squaring this is like the neural pathways being built to actually establish this unseen channel through technology. That's the way I see that square. So it's like if Scorpio is the oil that's crude, you don't just pump oil, right? There's technology that needs to work on the oil, actually distill it, put it in a pump, and then sell it in Taurus. So now you're actually building the technology within with Saturn to anchor the Scorpio wisdom into Taurus. And it's so much more than that, because I feel like with this new moon in Taurus and in Gemini, it's going to really simulate a slow but sure NZT experience to where your mind is able to process slowly but surely, claircognizantly and instantly as Uranus builds and connects neural pathways to this higher part of your causal mind. So it's literally like channeling your higher self. And it's definitely and it's definitely putting you in a position to realistically, shout out to Uriel, that's the true brother right there, ground and manifest nearly into reality through other people a lot of what's in your mind. I feel like this is kind of, and you said Neptune's on your Mars, so Mars in Pisces is very interesting because what this is doing is it's linking your actions intuitively with astral realm phenomena. It's like you could be taking an action that in the spiritual realm, to me, that looks like you can walk forward, and in the real world you walked forward, but overlapped in the spiritual realm you did something totally different. And it's like being able to move your physical body here while also interacting there. And that's not even it at all. Like I know it resonates with you, but everything that I'm saying is still just the tip of the iceberg. Like I'm not explaining it right, but that's still, I'm glad it resonates because Neptune is literally linking you with the realm. So like everything that is happening spiritually, let's say, you're going to react to, even though in this realm, it's going to look like you're not doing anything, but you're actually moving energy and taking action in that astral sense. It's only the newer generation people in Pisces who can understand Mars and Pisces, because a lot of energies astrologically, science is not caught up to. So we just see it as weird or lazy. Like the Mars and Pisces always seen as lazy, but Mars and Pisces is not Mars and Aries. So Mars and Pisces is not supposed to do too much because everything is already happening just with how you feel. But that's nothing you can quantify scientifically, really. So it just looks like you're not doing shit. So Neptune, I feel, is you so intuitively aligned with your intuition, you can move in a room with your eyes closed because you can be guided through that. And it's so much deeper. It's almost as if you're bringing energy from the dream realm to take action from. And then that process is extraordinarily innovative with your mind. And I wish I can explain that so much better, but it's a lot.
No, it's great. It's helping me understand what I've started doing working with the land. That's my training field in developing everything that you just were saying, is walking through those worlds, because I can see a synchronicity of numbers, and then it will this thing happen with my mind of moving through so many different realms just by seeing a synchronicity, and in an instant move through 10,000 realms, and based on how I feel and bring it all back to this moment of now, we shifted like 10 timelines and I didn't even know, you know. And that's why things be happening to me, like getting hit by cars 3 times in the same year, and then having 2 brain tumors and shit like that. Like they trying to get us out here, you know.
That's another thing too. That's another thing too. You and I have
like,
been.
This guy is fucking opening up portals and changing timelines and doesn't even know it, and he's fucking not integrated.
Thank you. And that's another thing I forgot to mention. We are being targeted, and with the Neptune square, it's easy to just dismiss, like, oh, we don't care about him. But like, no, you do. No, you do, bitch. Like, you're terrified. You're terrified. And I would say more of you, because you're actually going out there and doing the crystal grid work, and they can't get rid of you. I mean, the Pluto instrument quality will really unveil your sensing relationship to immortality with this 8th house and Pluto energy, as you are an angel, right? But what's even more important here is the way this will have direct application. Mercury in Taurus has a lot to do with the physical hands, especially as Geminis, and the energy that you coral from Scorpio, right, into your hands. It means anyone who you're making salsa for now during this period, they're about to be freaking put on. Like, if anyone eats your salsa, they probably might wake up all their superpowers, or they might have all their wishes come true. Like
I had people say, "Oh my gosh, I took one bite and felt like I ascended." I got separate cases of that same thing being said.
I know I missed you when you came through last time, but if you come through around, I'm definitely gonna link up with you for sure.
Perfect.
Thanks for your patience with me regarding that too. But yeah, I mean, everything that you're putting your hands into is channeling that soul essence, and it's like that's why science hasn't caught up to it, because there's not going to be a way to scientifically quantify why putting your hands on what you're making is going to channel that energy into it and produce supernatural effects for the people eating it. They may not even be able to correlate the causality between you giving it to them and that happening. And there may be interference with people who receive what you have, forces outside of them making sure they don't eat it because, you know, it'll awaken them. But it's definitely, I'm not doing this to shameless plug you. It's scientific. Like, your salsa right now is on a whole nother level, and it's going to just continue on that level moving forward. So yeah. My last question for you is: you're in a room of you're in a room of 10 people, 10 children, right? Or you're in a room with a class of kids. What is at least one or two red pills you would share with them?
That's a really good question.
Right. I kind of want to make a children's show where it's like Sesame Street, but it's just nothing but red pills, but not in your face, just like really subtle.
Yeah. It's hard to articulate, but like if I was facilitating this classroom, what we would what I would have is a series of, you know, a PowerPoint presentation with a series of clips from all sorts of child sitcom networks, and MTV, BET, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, or now Disney Channel Plus or whatever it's called, and choose a lot of these things and play clips of them, and then expand and then ask what they feel, what they experience, what is their perception and observation of this, and expand on it through exposing the manipulation and how this is actually MK Ultra programming.
So you
So
would break
kids
down how
don't
they're being
watch
subliminally
TV.
messages.
Yeah,
Right.
basically break down the science of how they're being programmed from
That's
these things
genius, by the
so
way.
geniusly designed. You know,
That's genius.
stop watching TV. Don't let your kids watch any fucking TV right now.
Or at least give them the tools to recognize when it's happening to them.
Yes, yes.
Right. That's real. That's so
And
awesome.
that's just my personal opinion. And then um, the other red pill would be how to is to giving them tips on how to hack their body, on how to hack their nervous system, explaining their body, how it's a vehicle, as a vehicle that has multidimensional layers, and to begin with the breath work. That if you're ever in a situation where you're scared or all these things are moving and you're not, or whatever, start breathing, let the technology of your body take over through the breath, and bring yourself back to center, bring yourself grounded, allow the body's capability to do what it's capable of doing in a stressful environment, to understand that there's a reptilian part of the brain and the mammalian part of the brain, and that you have the ability to tap into that and to control which part of your consciousness is in what part of the brain.
That's so awesome. That's dope. And look forward to, how that might be applied. But yeah, that's solid. I think that's the most important thing too, is helping, because I mean, all that subliminal messaging is targeted for the children. So at least making them aware of it, even if they still want to watch it, at least know how it's happening, right? But thank you so much, bro. I plan to make this episode 1 hour, but we are almost coming at 2 hours. Like this
I
is,
know, I gotta piss.
two Geminis. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get to talking. But other than that, it's dope. We had Pisces before. We had Gemini. Next we gonna have Starry Sagittarius, 146. But I do have your Instagram link down below. I have the link to your website. How can people contact you, and how can they get salsa from you? And yeah.
Thank you so much. I like to receive salsa orders through my Instagram, starseed.salsa. And so that's my other Instagram page is Blu-ray Bodhisattva. That's my more personal page. And I have a YouTube channel called Unscripted Liberation Codes, where I kind of just chop together a lot of videos of me out in nature, kind of explaining what my process is, becoming aware of my gifts and the intuition and how to connect and things like that. My most recent video, I got to summon an eagle to hang out with me for 30 minutes, a real eagle. So just kind of sharing in real time, like what I'm experiencing and all that. So definitely tune into that channel if you would like to watch it. And yeah, order salsa through Instagram, through in the DMs, or you can shoot me an email at starseedsalsa@gmail.com.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. And do you have any final word of advice for anyone walking this path?
Yeah. Start practicing the Wim Hof breathing technique.
Oh, I've been sleeping on that. I've been presented that at least 3 times. Still haven't even done it. So I'm gonna have to definitely do that. I was presented it when I was doing this program where we had to take cold showers every morning, and the person who told me about it said you should do the Wim Hof breathing. It'll definitely help you.
Yeah.
So I definitely try that.
I did 4 rounds this morning and took an ice bath. And so practicing those kinds of things to start being in control of what's happening in your body, because we're being bombarded on every single level and every single aspect, and it could be overwhelming. And there are very simple techniques and ways to help shift that. And the Wim Hof method has been the best thing in my life for the last 5 years that I've been practicing it.
That's so awesome. Is it something you can learn in just a quick video, or is it an in-depth course, or?
You can type in Wim Hof breathing technique, and he's got some videos of showing you how to do a few rounds real quick. And there's a nice graph. And then as you get a understanding of it, you can do more rounds with more breaths. And to know a little bit as to why it's so important. When you're doing these breaths, these repetitive deep inhalations and release of the breath, you're resetting the pH balance of your blood, of your body, and getting rid of any CO2 that may be trapped in the muscles or in the bones where there's pain, where there's not enough oxygen moving through it, and that creates inflammation. So when you're breathing, you're resetting all your body to get rid of that trapped CO2, enriching all your blood cells with oxygen, so that way it's able to travel through. And at the end of the breath, you release all your air and hold your breath out for as long as you can. And you'll feel this sensation happening in your body, and that's all this oxygen traveling through your body, resetting the pH balance. And what's happening in the brain when you hold the breath out after that technique is your reptilian brain kicks in, the fight flight response, because naturally you want to breathe, you want to take the breath in, but you're refusing to do that. So you're allowing that reptilian brain to activate, and we bring awareness that it's activating and it's wanting you to breathe. I can't breathe, I need to breathe. But from withholding that and being in control and allowing your body to do what it can do through that technique, you switch your awareness into your cerebral cortex. We were able to switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. We were able to calm down, and that whole effect releases dopamine, serotonin, all those good chemicals, and even a little bit of DMT. You do a couple rounds of those, and you have staged your body to be able to endure extreme cold temperatures, because now you have oxygen in your body to keep you warm, to keep you heated. And so reason why cold showers or ice water is part of that technique is that, again, even turns up the notch of activating the reptilian brain, because when you turn on the cold shower, it's a strong reaction the body has. Cold, let me get out, turn it off. That's a very strong reptilian reaction when your body hits cold water like that. So when you're able to stay in that water and allow your body to do its thing after the breath work, you really hack the way your brain's working, because there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of fucking campaigns, and everything's fucking stressful. And so we're not breathing properly, and there's all this noise and technology. It's very easy for us. It's very, very easy for us to instantly get out of our alignment and get into stress, and then in this kind of spiral of this energy bombarding us. And so breathing and the technique in the shower is a very quick, easy way to bring yourself back to yourself
And start the day, especially. That reminds me of the Breath of Fire. And in the anime Demon Slayer, there's a technique called total concentration breathing, and they can tap into elemental styles by their ability to maximize their breathing control. And I thought that was a fascinating concept, because it basically drives home, in order to unlock your superpowers, you need to master your breath. And, the masters who can The people who separate the masters from the beginnings are able to do this total concentration breathing 24/7, even when they're asleep.
Oh,
So,
damn.
right. So the Wim Hof breathing method, I think, is a great place to start. I slept on it really out of laziness and not really thinking it was that crucial, but I've come to learn that as someone passionate about mastering life force energy, I got to breathe, and I'd be forgetting to breathe. So, it's definitely a good place to start. And thank you, bro. This was super awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Y'all stay blessed. We're gonna do another Peace Talk episode at 5 around this time tomorrow with the wonderful Starry Ari, my personal meme plug. Mario, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Right. You stay blessed as always, all of you. And until next time, peace.